So Rahm Emanuel is terrible. I'm always reminded of a story that happened when he was with the Obama administration where he called progressives like effing idiots. I think it was in the midst of the healthcare debate, although I could be wrong. He basically told them, like, piss off. We don't need you. We don't like you. And, you know, ever since then, my response has been, cool. I don't like you either. So, all right. Let's hear him out today. Today, he went on ABC, or this week, he went on ABC, and he spoke about the upcoming election and the response to the coronavirus. And I think this shows you, because he's viewed as like this savvy political strategist genius. That's what Rahm Emanuel is. Well, let's see where his mind's at today in the midst of this crisis.
Basically saying that the White House is too much about conflict and not enough about compassion. And I would agree with him on that. And I think on the Democratic side, I'm messaging, we look a little too much too much about resistance about reopening, too much about reluctance about reopening, and we should go to a message of rebuilding America. If the president wants to talk about reopening, we want to talk about rebuilding America and the relief. Let's take the unemployed. If you're unemployed in the service sector, JCPenney, some of these others, those jobs aren't coming back. So we're going to give you a coupon. Go become a computer coder in 6 months. We'll pay for it.
I've never seen a clearer example of a giant gift to the right. There's a whole like meme about it, like, why don't you just learn to code? He said it! He said it and he meant it! Unbelievable. Unbelievable! The thing that became like a meme to make fun of the out-of-touch Democrats, he literally, obviously totally unaware of that, and he proposed that idea sincerely. Here's an idea. How about in the midst of a pandemic where people were laid off through no fault of their own, you do UBI, you do Medicare for all, you do a rent freeze and a mortgage freeze, and you do hazard pay to frontline workers. How about that? How's that for a plan? You know, we should have originally done the European idea, which is basically temporarily nationalize the wages for the small businesses and pay like 75 or 80% of the wages for the duration of the crisis. And this way people get furloughed instead of fired. There's a story that just came out of Germany. I think their unemployment rate right now is like 3.9%. Meanwhile, the actual unemployment rate here is over 20%. So if you wanted to actually, if you were serious and you wanted to actually fix this problem and you wanted to address this properly, and if you cared about the people who are being destroyed here, we know what the ideas are that work. We know what the policies are that work. Instead, he goes out there and says, learn to code. Wow. Now, you might be sitting there going, come on, Kyle. Well, yeah, okay, so he's saying that, but this is not like what the politicians in D.C. are pushing for, right? Like, this is not, at least we have more serious people handling this. You see where I'm going with this? Take a look at this new article from CNBC. Senators release bill to offer, get this, $4,000 worth of skills training credit to workers displaced by coronavirus. 4 senators introduce a bill to create $4,000 tax credit for workers who lost their jobs due to the coronavirus pandemic to put towards skills training. The legislation introduced by Senators Amy Klobuchar, Ben Sasse, Cory Booker, and Tim Scott would apply to training such as apprenticeships, certificates, and 2- and 4-year programs. This is embarrassing. Like, what we're watching right now is embarrassing. I want you to take note of how everything unfolded. The coronavirus hits, and then the market starts to plunge. What happened next? There was panic. Everybody agreed, we got to do something. We got to do it now. And then what did Washington, D.C. do? Well, in the case of the Federal Reserve, they said, we're just going to pump $1 trillion of liquidity per day into the market. So basically, letting investors know, letting the market know, no matter what, we're not going to let you fail. We have our own sovereign currency. We're going to act, within the confines of modern monetary theory. We'll just keep pumping as much money into the stock market as humanly possible, literally $1 trillion per day, to shore up the marketplace. So we have fully implemented corporate socialism. Socialism for the top 1%. That's what we did. What else did they do? They did the coronavirus bailout bill where it was effectively $5 trillion that Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, the Goldman Sachs lackey, he gets to determine which corporations get that bailout money. Virtually no overhead at all symbolic, and Trump even said we're going to ignore it, and all you got was a one-time $1,200 payment. That's crumbs. So there was a giant, colossal propping up of the stock market and the corporations. And then the people got screwed. And now later on, now they're going, all right, well, I guess we got to do something else for the people because now unemployment's over 20% and people are getting obliterated. And this is a financial crisis, the likes of which we haven't seen since the Great Depression. And what do they propose? Is there any ideas that'll actually work? Is it UBI? Is it nationalizing the wages? Is it Medicare for all? Is it rent-freeze, mortgage-freeze? No. It's a $4,000 skills training credit. I just spit all over myself. To workers displaced by the coronavirus. $4,000 skills training credit. Bipartisan. That's what this is. So it's always like mealy mouth little nonsense crumbs for you and just total corporate socialism for those at the top. Weird how you guys have the rugged, individualistic, laissez-faire, free market capitalism where if you fail, you fail, get over it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But the rich can never fail, ever. They get to loot the treasury if they need to. And by the way, that's why you see now a total decoupling of the stock market from the economy. Like, again, the unemployment rate is going up to Great Depression territory. It already surpassed 2008, 2009 Great Recession territory. And at the same time, the market's now soaring. That makes no sense. Well, when you have the Fed saying, no matter what, I'll keep pumping $1 trillion of liquidity per day into the marketplace, they know, oh, so we got nothing to worry about. We can't fail. But the people literally failing right this second. Unbelievable, man. Washington, the extent and the degree to which Washington doesn't work for you is historic. It's legendary. There's a reason they have like a 22% approval rating. They're all so corrupt beyond imagination, and it's obvious.